And back to the podcast. So, from speaking about professionally NBA, now gotta go over the national champions and give their flowers as Final Fours are officially done in the NCAA for the men and the women. UConn, the Huskies, out the former 4 seed in the West, Midwest. Yeah, I have bracket right here. Actually, the West, my bad. But their row was swimmingly easy. Swimmingly easy. And against San Diego State on Monday, they certainly had some adversity. Certainly had. While they led by 12 at half, San Diego State kept them on their toes. They kept them on their toes. But the deficit only coming as low as 5 points. I mean, San Diego State just dug themselves too big of a hole in the first half. And again, they tried and tried. I mean, San Diego State, what we saw was a gritty team all throughout the playoffs, but unfortunately, against the Huskies, it was just not enough. And Huskies get their 5th NCAA national championship in their 5 appearances. Only one loss in March Madness. It's crazy, but for the program, what can you say? Sunogo, I mean, the all crew just played swimmingly well. I mean, thing about winning national championship is you gotta be good, and you also gotta be a little bit lucky, in the sense that Arkansas took care of Kansas, upset Kansas, and Kansas was a regarded favorite by many, the number 1 seed in the West, but they got knocked out by the Razorbacks. UCLA and Gonzaga pretty much beat each other up. So you thought Gonzaga was going to give more of a fight to UConn, but that wasn't the case. Certainly wasn't. And UConn just rallied and rallied. And they got it done. They got it done. So, kudos to them. Kudos to them. San Diego State, their effort should not be lost or all for naught. I mean, the Mountain West does not get, I mean, does not get a lot of credit. I mean, lower conference, but nonetheless, credit Boise State, Utah State. I mean, those teams went out fairly quick, but San Diego State made themselves a run and certainly earned their way to the finals. Certainly earned their way by being Charleston, Maryland, Alabama, Creighton, and FAU. But when it came down to it, I mean, that buzzer beater versus FAU was great, but unfortunately didn't get it done versus UConn. So there was that. I mean, against Miami, I will say too, UConn, I was a bit worrisome, but did not happen. And then congrats to the Huskies. And LSU. LSU and Angel Reese took apart Kalen Clark's Iowa Buckeyes and did not worry or did not go away. Kalen Clark has had some great performances in her own right in this tournament, but ultimately wasn't the case as LSU was just too much, and kudos to LSU for getting the ring. The issues about what Angel Reese said and blah 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 about the coach from LSU. I mean, it's just whatever. Trying to start an argument that won't go well. The backlash for them, it's just whatever. But cool to LSU, cool to Angel Reese and all. The coach did kudos all around for LSU. Major League Baseball back, and boy did many miss it. Opening day was late last week, and boy was it fun to see again. As whether it was the Texas Rangers against the Philadelphia Phillies, whether it was the Mets over the Marlins, etc. There was just much fun on opening day, and the last few days has been rejuvenating to see baseball as a whole. Baseball season for the MLB back again, and it's gonna be a fun ride. Longer ahead, a long season. It's gonna be interesting. May storylines already ahead. We got, for starters, the Mets. Edwin Diaz. He'll be basically out for the full season with his injury he suffered. There's that. Aaron Judge, the reigning MVP. How is he going to follow up that amazing regular season he had a year ago? Can the Angels actually do something with their two stars? Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. Can they actually do something? That's the question. I mean, you got the Dodgers, the Padres, strong from last year. The Phillies, I mentioned. Bryce Harper is not going to be available, reported till possibly Memorial Day. So, interesting things to think about. Storylines. Thus, as we get into the MLB start of the season, but it's going to be a fun ride, and we're all for it. So, we'll see. We'll see. UFC 287 is underway on Saturday and should be a heck of a card. As one thing we know, headlined by an intriguing rematch nonetheless. In the main event, Alex Pereira looks to defeat Israel Adesanya for the second time in the UFC. Pereira has obviously beaten Adesanya not only in the UFC, but kickboxing before amateur base, whichever you want to say. But Pereira seems to have Adesanya's number, and can Adesanya rewrite the narrative and get his belt back? That remains to be seen, but along with the main event, we got some good fights to look forward to on the main card and the prelims as well. Headline of the prelims, we got Kelvin Gastelum, UFC veteran. Adesanya knows him very well as well from that great interim title belt from years ago. But number 15 ranked versus number 14 Chris Curtis. That should be a fine bout to headline the prelims on Saturday. Then we got the main card opening up with Raul Rosas Jr., a very young guy from Mexico who claims he wants to be the youngest UFC champion in history. That remains to be seen, but he has to get started and has to keep going against Christian Rodriguez. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Then we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Kevin Holland. Should be fine bout as well between two solid veterans with knockout power, which you don't want to miss. It's Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Number 6 versus number 12 in the bantamweight. Rosas got his work cut out for him, but he's obviously got to eye this fight as well. You know, the bantamweight division is, creeping up pretty swellly. I mean, you got Murab, who just took apart Peter Yan. You got Corey Sandhagen, who just diced up Marlon Chito Vera. You got Sugar Show Sean O'Malley. Along with, of course, the champion, Aljamain Sterling, who's going to face Henry Cejudo next month. But this fight got to be at the top of the road as well, as we look to provide some clarity at the UFC 135-pound division. But Rob Font is a beast, and I expect him to get done again. The co-headliner has some unique implications as well. number 5 ranked Gilbert Burns against the owner of the BMF belt, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, number 11. You know, Masvidal, you know, he, he desperately needs a win. He's even said himself, well, he may, he might hang it up in the UFC if he loses this. But if he wins, that's a big feather in his cap in getting another title shot. Especially now with Leon Edwards, and we know that feud, and that's an interesting fight to make. Although Dana White has said, made it clear that Colby Covington will get the next crack at Leon Edwards' strap. Remains to be seen, but we know Dana has his way, or get to get his way with what he makes the calls. So we'll see, but alas, Masvidal since his rise, you know, being Askren, being or knocking out Darren Till, being Nate Diaz, losing to Usman not once but twice, and then losing to Colby Covington in that grudge match. He desperately needs a win. Gilbert Burns is tough. He's gritty. I mean, he gave Usman everything he could handle in his title fight, but came up short. Of course, his best performance in the octagon was against former champ Tyler Woodley. We'll see how he fares against Jorge Masvidal, but I expect him to show big time for this bout. The main event is strange, but something to keep an eye on. As Alex Pereira in his first defense against the last stylebender Israel Adesanya, coming off his second loss in the UFC, his first in the division. Adesanya had Pereira on the ropes at the end of the first round in the last fight, but over time Pereira poured it on, and the power and such got done against Adesanya. Adesanya, we'll see. We'll see. Because keep in mind, Pereira is still less than 10 pro fights. Pro MMA fights. So that's a unique factor in this bout. The inexperienced yet experience for Adesanya. So curious to see what changes are made for Adesanya. Because we know the specimen that Pereira reminds me of, in a way, Kendall Grove and Thiago Silva. Just in the way he's built and the way he's... I mean, but for my money, I'd say Adesanya gets his belt back. I don't know about Pereira. That's his thing. I don't know. But alas, it should be a fun card, and cannot wait to see it. I mentioned the NBA regular season coming to close, and as well for the NHL, hockey is getting to strange point as well, where alas, some teams have clinched their tickets to the postseason already, and should be noted. So no surprise that the Bruins, already they clinched the best record in hockey, and I mean, still going strong. 60, 12, and 5. 60, 12, and 5. You know, well ahead of Toronto Maple Leafs. And, you know, it's going to be an intriguing way to see how they keep this momentum going into the postseason. But we'll see. I mentioned Toronto. They're well back into the postseason. Austin Matthews and the other center they trade for, forgot his name, sorry, right now, but last, can they make it past the first round? That is a big question, obviously, with the Maple Leafs. Can they finally, again, make it past the first round? We'll see. Tampa Bay is still Tampa Bay. They're hungry again for the postseason and another Stanley Cup, as they're back in the postseason as well. Carolina, well, from the Atlantic to now the Metropolitan. Carolina Hurricanes. No surprise, their name has been drawn and they are back into postseason with 50, 18, and 9. New Jersey Devils right behind them. And the New York Rangers. So they're getting it as well. No surprise. You go to the Central, and no surprise, it's pretty much a 3-team race for the best record in the division. Colorado Avalanche, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, currently in first place. Dallas Stars, 3 games, 3.5 games behind, excuse me. And the wild card, per se, the Minnesota Wild, they're back in the postseason and looking to make a name for themselves. Then we go to the Pacific, excuse me. Vegas Golden Knights, what did you expect, debt taxes and the Golden Knights making the postseason, no surprise. Edmonton Oilers following up, and the LA Kings. So, interesting notes there. But, we'll see. We'll see. But, it's getting to that time. It's getting to the time. NBA playoffs happen soon. NHL playoffs happen soon. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. But, excuse me. Alas, thank you for joining me, guys. Um, Good on the podcast today. Again, if you haven't seen, or if you would like to see more of my videos, click that subscribe button there in the corner. Um, Click the button, click notification bell as well. If you like this video though, leave a like, clicking the button, thumbs up on the channel as well. Help out the video. Thank you guys. See you guys next week for more sports overview topics. Thank you all. Be safe. I made Joe to love. Get out of here. Peace.